Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Hey, let's just get into like why we're here, man. September 24th, you'll be stepping into the cage at the UFC Apex on Contender Series. Kevin Vallejos. First, thoughts on the opportunity and getting to this point at this point in your career.
A year and a half since I went pro. I went pro at the right time. I battled through injuries, illnesses, and stuff, and got the right coaches around. And the opportunity has presented itself a little fast after my last fight. It's a tough fight, but when the UFC calls, I said I was going to take it. It didn't matter. They could have called me the day after with my chipmunk face. Man, I've been ready to go if I had to, but they gave me about 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks to prepare. That's all I need. I'm in shape, and I'm ready to go out there and do what I always do, put on a show.
Definitely. Let's jump back to Austin Lingo, the fight you had not too long ago. Second round knockout finish. You go in there, against a guy that's a veteran, a tough guy too. A guy that's not easy to put away.
Yeah.
And you put him away. What do you prove in that one?
I think I just proved to myself and everybody that I belong. Austin, he's got a couple wins in the UFC, and he wasn't finished. Super tough guy, and the only person to finish him, Nate Landwehr, and I'm pretty sure he's top 15 now. So, I think it just proves myself I could compete with those guys in the featherweight division right now, and I got him out of there in the second round, and I think I beat him worse than Nate Landwehr. So. And I think I got the best version of him too because he came out. He was really improved. Like I remember early in the fight, he normally jumps in with his hooks and his overhand, so I was really looking for that. But he stepped in and he clocked me like right away, like 30 seconds into the fight. I was like, oh man, he's made the adjustments, and I'm happy with the result. I think I got the best version of him, and yeah, I got this opportunity because they were saying if he beats me, he's just right back in the show. So I was like, well, since I finished him, I think I should get a shot. And Luke Riley, he had visa issues, and the UFC called me. So
there you go, man. You ready for the opportunity? You get the opportunity, and have you been watching the Contender Series this year? Have you caught any of the shows?
yeah, I watched the one that what's his name on? He fought in Fury like me. Michael Aswell's fight, I watched that show. I didn't watch last week's. I did tune in, but I tuned in because Cody Steele was fighting and his guy punked out or something. So I just turned it off after. So I normally don't really watch too many fights close to my fight, like a week or two, because I don't like to be influenced by something. Like if I see something and I just add it into the game or something. I just focus on the task at hand. And yeah, I watched a couple of the Contender Series fights this year, but I think the last one I watched was the Michael Aswell one, and that was a war. So I'm gonna probably put on the same type of fight, honestly.
Yeah. There's been a few wars on Contender Series this year. A few like crazy knockouts as well. That one girl, that one punch knockout. Did you see that one?
I did see that one. Yeah, she was like a big
That was,
underdog too. They made a big deal
yeah,
about
like
it.
yeah, it was
Which I
like
mean,
one of the biggest underdogs.
yeah, I'm probably gonna be the underdog here this fight too. So I don't know. I don't know how big, but I hope not a whole lot because I like to think I like to think I'm better than what people are making me out to be. I was like reading comments and stuff about our fight coming up, and a lot of people think I'm going to get whooped. So it's just something to add, just a little chip on my shoulder. So, but a lot of people that see me fight and see my career, they know that it ain't gonna be easy for him. So it's gonna be a. I think it's gonna be fight of the night for sure. Out of the 5 fights that are on there for ours, and it's the type of fight that we both get a contract if it goes the distance. But I don't think it's gonna go the distance. This is the way I fight because I come to finish you or get finished trying.
Yeah, and now going back to your opponent, Kevin. What do you think of him? The fighting style that he has.
I think he's real boxing heavy. A little one dimensional. He's tough. he's got a chin like me, and he went the distance with Gene Silva, who isn't a slouch, but I think he was more technical than Gene, and Gene just kind of dogged him. So I think I'm more technical, and I'm going to dog him obviously too. So I think it's going to be a fun fight for the fans and Dana White and everybody watching, and I'm ready to prove I belong. I'm excited to fight a guy like Kevin, a guy that wants to stand up and fight because that's the fights I always want to be in. Like, yeah, I could wrestle, I could grapple too, but I always choose to stand up and bang instead because that's what people want to see. That's what the UFC wants to see, and I think we're both going to deliver on that. I'd be surprised if either of us uh, grapples heavy, but you never know. You hit somebody wrong, and all of a sudden, they're holding you on the cage for life. So
Yeah, the circumstances that he's under and the circumstances you're under, right, coming into this fight are totally different. You're coming off
right,
short notice, filling in for another guy that couldn't, get a visa. He's coming off his loss in the Contender Series, his second chance on Contender Series. Like when you put that together, man, the circumstances they're heavy on him. To be honest with you, do you feel that way?
I do. I feel like I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. They called me on short notice, and I feel like my last fight really just put me on the map, honestly, because like I had like 800 followers before my last fight, and I just blew up like after that, and it was a crazy fight on Fight Pass, and I'm here now, so it put me on the UFC's map, and this isn't an end all be all,
Yeah,
win or lose for me. So if I get the contract or not, but I got everything to gain here, and I think I'm ready to compete with those guys, and I'm the type of fighter Dana likes too. So I think I get that win, I get in for sure.
yeah, man,
Everything
you
to gain,
definitely
nothing
have
to
the
lose. That's
yeah, you
how I
definitely
feel.
have the style as well, and like like you mentioned earlier about the Austin Lingo fight, he had so much to gain from that fight himself as well, and he just couldn't do it against you, and pretty much that's what you're faced against now. Now rewinding back, to the end of your amateur career, I was just looking at your record, and you ended with two losses. Most guys don't usually end their amateur careers with losses and then turn pro.
Right,
They usually are like, I can't find anybody to fight, so I had to turn pro. Like, what was your
right.
situation?
I had some kickboxing fights in between there that I won. I'm undefeated in kickboxing and stuff, but yeah, I fought those guys. The Ingram, my last fight, he was the number one guy in Texas, and it could have went my way. Honestly, it was a 9-minute fight. He was a tough kid, hit me hard. I don't call. He's older than me. I don't know why I called him a kid, but he hit me hard, probably harder than Austin Lingo, honestly. And I just took it and I came forward, and we had a crazy fight, and they gave him the decision, and at the end of the fight, man, he was out of gas, bro. But amateur fights is 3-minute rounds and stuff, and I just my cardio and pace, I do like 15 minutes. I get both those guys that I lost to if I had 15 minutes, and they just those helped me grow too. They helped me turn me into the fighter I am today because I looked at those losses, I was like, I ain't gonna lose like that again. So like my first one against Omar, he the one I lost, my first one, he held me on the cage the whole fight, and then I immediately went back in the gym. My wrestling coach played Jordan. I said nobody's gonna hold me on the cage no more. And like you can see, a last fight also tried to hold me on the cage a bit to get a breather. I was getting him off me every time. I was elbowing him in the side of the head, and then against Ingram, I just had to make some adjustments to my striking and my style. And here I am. I'm undefeated now in a year and a half. I got the right coaches at the right time, and I got this fight, got this opportunity, so I'm ready to capitalize on it.
Yeah, it just shows you how important an amateur career is. You know what I mean? Like to take those lessons early before you're professional. And like you said, you got your coaches around you that have turned you into, an undefeated professional fighter. Who are the coaches that you work with closely, and maybe even the team members that have been along with you for the whole ride?
I got my boxing coach back, Johnny Smith. He came out of retirement right around I went pro. I had another boxing coach, Keon Burrows, but he tragically passed away, and I had to find a new one. And I called, Johnny. I got in touch with him, like, hey, I'm going pro, man. I really believe I can do this, and he's always liked me. He always knew like I was a hard worker and just my amateurs. Like he would come to the fights up at the local fights. He wouldn't come unless I was fighting. So he wasn't that hard to persuade back in to train me because he used to train Alan Belcher, Jason Knight, and all those guys back in the day. And then I got Blake Jordan back too. He wrestled in college and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And got my Muay Thai coach Lovell and everybody. My head coach Mike Barnett, who's fought in PFL, and I just got the right team. They're all going to be there. They're all going to be there Tuesday night. I was going to say Saturday night, but it was a little different Tuesday.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm just real committed, man. I've also been, I got my strength and conditioning coach Jake Johnson. I got up with when I went pro, and I'm stronger now with the weights. I never lifted weights my amateur career or anything really like that. I trained out in my garage with my coach Mike, but I took I got made this full time, and I got the right people around me, and I think it shows. A year and a half, I'm undefeated, and I just beat a UFC veteran that has wins in the UFC and wasn't really finished, and I got him out of there. So I'm riding a real good, got real good confidence right now in myself. So I feel like I could take on anybody, and they consider Kevin a top prospect. He's 13-1, and he had a good showing last time on the Contender Series, and they're bringing him back, and I think the timing's just right for me.
Well, you got to crush his dreams to make your dreams become
Hey,
possible, right?
hear him. So
Exactly, exactly. Hey, that's the reality of it. 7-0. What was your toughest fight though? Like, what fight did you have to overcome the most? Do you think, like inside and outside the cage?
definitely the last one.
Okay.
Austin, my amateur career, I'll say it. I'm an honest guy. I'm a realist. My amateur career was way harder than my pro career. When I went pro, it was hard to find fights as a pro. All these guys with winning records, undefeated, they don't want the tough fights. Down here they want to keep padding their record, and then I got to about 5-0, 6-0. My manager was like, "Look, these guys down here in the Gulf Coast, they're not going to fight you, bro. Like we're going to have to go to somebody's hometown, in their backyard, and we're going to have to beat them." And I was looking at LFA and Fury, and Fury said, "Hey, we got." They sent me a list, and I saw Austin's name, former UFC fighter in his hometown. I said, "Man, that's as good as it's going to get." So I signed with Fury, and I was the one and done. I beat that guy. I finished him. They told me if I finished him, I get the call, and I got the call about 2-3 weeks later after the fight. And I'd say Austin, it was a tough fight, but I think it built me and prepared me for this fight. And I think it's really good that I fought Austin too because Kevin's kind of similar to him. I think really heavy-handed, really just wants to box. Austin's a really good boxer. He's a Golden Glove Texas boxer, and I was able to take what he gave me, and he ran out of steam. So I think this time I might try to move my head a little bit more against Kevin and go get him.
Yeah, you come from a decent lineage, right? With like Belcher and Jason Knight. You mentioned those names earlier.
Yeah,
Do you think like there's anybody in the South like representing right now for the South? Like,
I feel like I'm in. We had Tyler Hill, we had Brock Weaver, we have Brandon Davis, Jason Knight, all those guys. They're all out the UFC now. So I think Trevor Peak, he's from Alabama, but he's not from like down in the deep South like us. He's kind of up north Alabama. So nah, man, I think it's my time to take over that Southern representation for us and get myself back in there. We got SD, but he's from Pensacola, and Kurt, he's from Louisiana. So that little Mississippi, Alabama area. I think it's time to get a new face in there, and I'm trying to be that guy for us.
definitely. Do you envision anything for this fight coming up? Do you see anything like a fortune telling way?
I think it's going to be a lot of hands being thrown between both of us, and somebody's going to go out, or we're going to beat the hell out of each other for 15 minutes, and leave it to the judges. But I think one of us is going to get dealt in. I don't know who yet until I'm out there, but I can promise you one thing: I will be fighting like I always fight. I will be fighting the Cam Teague fight, and I think that's why they call me. They see my fights and they know how I fight, and Kevin's game. He's a lot of these guys. They're good hammers, and not a lot of people are good nails. Like I don't want to talk trash about Austin or anything, but he's kind of more of a hammer type of guy. But he could take it too. But when he starts taking it, he kind of fades. But we're just watching Kevin fight Gene Silva when he got rocked by that knee. He came out that third round. He was still trying to fight, take Gene's head off. So I think he's a good nail too. So I think it's going to be a crazy fight. That's my fortune telling.
Yeah, yeah, man. I can't wait for this one. This, like you said, it's a solid matchmaking as well. You know, I mean, it's not like they just threw in somebody to replace him. They really looked at
Right.
the options and saw the best fight. You debuted as a pro in March 2023. It's 2024
Yep.
October or September. Sorry, September. Man, incredible run. In those months, you're heading into your 8th fight. I can't
Yeah.
wait for it, man. September 24th, Contender Series, UFC Apex. Incredible, man. Cam, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got it worked out so I could get on here.
My bad, my bad, man.